Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a vlog for you where over the next couple days I'm going to show you how I do my alterations. I had a friend drop off some clothes to fix up for her, so let's get into it. Okay, so I already kind of started on these pieces that she had dropped off, so I'll show you the first one that I have altered was this red cardigan. Super cute for Valentine's Day. I know that's coming up, so I want to get these back to her as soon as possible. But she thrifted this cardigan, and the issue was that there were threads kind of sticking out all over this part. I wish that I would have taken a before and after picture. I didn't. But it was just basically elastic threads that had kind of just worn and started to unravel. So I used a needle and thread, and using those same threads, I just trimmed them and then sewed them back in to kind of seal off any sort of fraying that might occur. So there are some of the threads that I had sewn back in that were peeking out, and now it's good as new. So the next piece that I'm going to be working on is this beautiful knitted sweater. This is also another thrift find from her, but she hasn't been able to wear it because this back piece right here along the collar is all frayed off. So I'm going to use a daring needle and some similar thread, and I'm going to hopefully just weave in the missing stitches to connect this collar back onto the sweater. The next piece is a skirt that she thrifted, and the issue with this is that the inside elastic is really old. It's been in here for a while now, so I'm going to open up this skirt, remove the elastic, and then replace it with fresh elastic that still has some stretch. She came over and I already fitted her for a new piece of elastic, and yeah, I'll just take out that old one that has really no more stretch. It's it doesn't shrink back in, so that's what I'll do with this skirt. This next skirt is really cute. She thrifted it for her bachelorette party. It's a beautiful little high-waisted skirt with a side slit, and we're just going to take this skirt down in size. She also gave me a pair of pajama pants that she wore for Christmas, and they got some rips in them, so I'm gonna also be mending those. They're just on the side right here, kind of close to the side seam, so I'll see what I can do to fix those up as well. Okay, so I did some sweater surgery on this. So there are these like intentional little hole designs in the collar, just giving it a little bit more character. So what I did was I went in and picked up drop stitches along these ribbings, and then put a stitch marker at the end so that way it didn't start unraveling. So I had to pick up some stitches on the knit side, the stockinette side, and then the purl side I went in. And then right here I kind of just went rogue and tried to follow the pattern as best as I could. Looks like that it kind of tapers off here, leaving this hole as a little design, and then it picks up again. So I just added those stitches back in where they needed to be, and then looking at the construction of the sweater already, they just basically weaved in these stitches to the sweater. So thankfully the actual chest part of the sweater is not fraying. It's really just the collar stitches that kind of snapped. So here's the end of that thread that was already in there, and you can see that it's kind of getting loose here as well. So I'm just going to take these threads, tighten them in where they are, and then weave in this part so that it doesn't unravel. Then I'm going to add in my yarn that I have to sew up the collar, and then weave that in as best as I can to close up this rip. So now I have completed that sweater mending. So this is the part that I mended. You can kind of see the yarn wasn't a perfect match, but you really can't notice when you're wearing the garment. So I just followed along the pattern already, and I tacked down the collar using the drop stitch that I used my stitch markers on. and then also the same thing on the inside. This is where I tied off. And then also right here are the threads that had snapped. I just went ahead and weaved those back in and tied them off so that they wouldn't fray further. Alrighty guys, it is another day of alterations. I have some time, so I'm going to be replacing this waistband in this thrifted skirt. And this one's going to be fairly simple. You don't have to remove the entire waistband. You can really just open up a tiny spot. I like to always go through the back of the skirt, back of the side seam, just so that it's not noticeable. So I try to find the least noticeable spot to open it up. So I think, okay, it looks like on this skirt they sewed down the elastic, so this actually might be a little bit trickier than I thought it would be. I'll probably just open it up on both sides where this elastic is sewn through, and then I will, so I'll open those seams up, and then I'll open a little spot, take out the old elastic, and then replace it with my new elastic, and I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I got it open, and yeah, this elastic is very old. It's like warped, kind of, it's not really stretching back to its original, it's just kind of all wiggly. So we'll fix that problem, but I think, okay, yeah, here's the start where it's all kind of sewn together on the inside. So I'm just going to cut that with scissors because, again, we're not saving this. Go in on that other side and undo the stitching that they did right here, and then just pull it all out. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my clothespin, or not clothespin, this is a safety pin, and my elastic is a little bit big for the waistband, so I'm gonna see how it feels doubling it up, but if it's not a good fit, then I will find some other elastic in my kit and then use that, but hopefully this will work just fine folded over. Okay, so already feeding this elastic through, I can see that where it's folded is kind of pushing out the front. But on the inside, it's actually laying pretty flat. So I don't want to continue doing this with the fold on the front because that's just not going to look good. So I'm going to take it out and I'm going to put the folded side. So I'm going to go and make sure that the folded side is sticking at the back. So I'm going to go back through the other way. Okay, so I've made it through the entire skirt, and now I'm going to zigzag stitch the two elastics together. This part, you really want to make sure that your elastic is not twisted before you sew that down. So I've checked, if my elastics are laying good, they'll be flat. So I'm going to sew this down, then I'm going to shimmy it into the skirt fully, and then I'm gonna just do the same construction as the original skirt and sew down on the seams just to make sure that the elastic is not twisting as time goes on and the more wears that it gets. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I came back, I sewed the elastic back in, and it is looking fresh It's looking good. So now this alteration's done, and since starting this vlog, I actually was given another piece to alter by a different client, and then they also had requested a custom order for crocheting, so I kind of had to put a halt on some alterations just because they weren't as urgent, and I'm kind of adding those in because those ones are needed sooner. So that just kind of happens depending on who brings me what and what kind of deadlines they have. I'll just kind of adjust myself, but the type of alteration that has been requested is actually a replacement of a zipper, or at least a zipper slider. I'm gonna try not to replace the entire zipper because the actual zipper itself is intact. It's just the zipper slider. One of the pieces broke off, so the zipper is not staying up on the pants. So I'm gonna do some research, see if I can find a replacement slider of the same make, or at least just one that is similar that will work for that zipper. And if I can do that, that's gonna be a pretty easy fix. If not, I'll have to just replace the entire zipper, which is just more steps. It's not necessarily harder, it's just you know, don't want to do more than you have to, right? So I am going to do some research on that, and then I think for the rest of the day I'm going to work on crocheting the vest that she has ordered. So yeah, that is what I'll be working on for the rest of the evening. So I got the pants. These are the pants. They're super cute corduroy jeans, and the zipper here, as you can see, the little tab popped off, which is problematic. You can't just like stick a little bit of like thread and use that as the pull, because specific to jean zippers, they're very different from jacket zippers. Jacket zippers, purse zippers, those actually just have a regular pull, but jean zippers, they actually have this little tab at the bottom that will stop the zipper from going down while you're wearing them. So that's why the issue with these jeans not staying zipped is it's just because that little stopper that is on the tab is not there anymore. So I'm gonna do some research. I'm going to look at the back of the actual slider that's on there. There are some numbers and measurements on there that tell me what size. I will use that for reference in my research when I'm trying to find the replacement. That I can find that's actually gonna get here before March is a black auto lock zipper. The one that's on the pants is navy, so before I go and make any purchases or alterations, I always want to check with my clients to see if that is okay, because you never want to just put something in and then be like, oh my gosh, I hate this. Like I replaced some zippers in a jacket, 2 jackets for somebody, and after purchasing the zippers, I realized that the zippers I bought were just slightly bigger than the original, and it's noticeable to some people. So I, reached out and was just like, hey, is this okay? Will this bother you? And they were totally fine with it, but again, just not everyone is, and you don't want to rip out something from clothes and replace it and then have someone not be happy about that. So I'm going to reach out to this person, see if a black zipper replacement instead of a navy is going to be okay for them, and then hopefully place this order soon, just because it says it'll get here by the 19th. So I mean, I have some other things to work on in the meantime, but yeah, so hopefully I can get that ordered by tonight, and I'm hoping that that's okay, because if it's not, I might just have to replace the whole zipper if I can't find a navy zipper that will be able to get here in time. So alright, I have an update for the vest that I'm making. So I have the back panel completely done. I have completed one front panel. I'm working on the last one right here, and once it's done, I'm going to sew it up and then do any little alterations I need to make it fit better. And then per the order request, I'm going to do the trim in a gold yarn color. It is another day of alterations. Today I'm going to be fixing some tears in these pajama pants that are closer to the seam, and I'm using some scissors, thimble, needles, and some thread. Here are the two tears, and I believe I'm going to use a ladder stitch to fix them up just because they are in a fairly straight line, so a ladder stitch would work really well for mending these. So I fixed the first tear and it was kind of worked out perfect because the tear was along the leaf, so you could barely really tell where I did the mend. But here, it's not so much hidden by the patterns, so I'm going to do my best to use the ladder stitch and make it as unnoticeable as possible. I'll show you how I do that. I first started by threading my needle with some white thread, and I did a little knot at the end. You don't want to start at the tear because then you have a higher risk of, one, you're not completely going through where the fabric is kind of thinning, and two, you have a more likely chance that your mending will tear again. So I'm just gonna start I'm gonna start small. Now for the absolute magic of this stitch. It looks super messy, right? Well, you tighten it up, then you loosen just a little bit. You kind of have to go back and forth with like getting the right tension. You don't want to pull it too tight because then you're going to kind of get these like bumps, but just pull on the fabric till it's the right tension. But there you go. You have two tears that are now mended. Again, this stitch is called the ladder stitch. How I finish this off is I'm going to just stick the needle through the back. Oh geez, can't see what I'm doing. Through the back of the fabric, just straight down, and then go into where I made my stitches. Now you can see all that teared fabric is now on the inside, tucked away. But I'm just gonna do a simple knot, probably like double knot this just to make sure that it doesn't come undone. Update. The zippers came in, but they do not fit. So that's why you give yourself time when you order online, because if it doesn't work out, you can run to your local craft store and get what you need. So I wanted this alteration to be easy peasy, just replace the zipper slider, but that is not going to happen because I cannot find a zipper slider that will fit the jeans. So I am going to be replacing the zipper, which is fine. It's doable still, just a little bit, just some extra steps to take. So first things first, I'm going to seam rip carefully and as little as possible. You don't want to just go seam ripping crazy and then undo more than you need to, because then you're just going to do more sewing. So I'm going to go in and just carefully open up the waistband, and then I'm going to carefully seam rip all around the zipper and take that bad boy out, and then I will be trimming the zipper that I bought. Where'd it go? I'll be trimming the zipper that I bought because obviously it's way too long. I couldn't find one. Usually they sell them in like 4-inch ones, but couldn't find one small enough, so got what I could. It's actually a really great match though. It's navy, so it's gonna match the pants. But yeah, I will be back once I have seam ripped these bad boys. I'm gonna use this for reference when cutting my own zipper because I do have to shorten it. So I'm gonna just take this off and make them as similar as possible. First step to shortening a zipper, you're going to want to mark where you're going to make your cut, and then you're also going to want to mark where the zipper stopper is at, and using a needle and thread you're going to create a new zipper stopper at the bottom. And I just used some tailor's chalk to make 2 little markings, one where I'm going to cut the zipper, the other one just above it is going to be where the zipper stopper will be placed. Once I've made my markings, I'm just going to take my needle and thread and close up the 2 little zipper teeth at the bottom, and then I can go ahead and cut off the excess of the zipper. I ended up using a tool to help break through the zipper teeth. You can buy zipper repair kits online. Now my zipper is ready to pin in place, and I'm going to hand sew at the base of the zipper because I know that the sewing machine will not be able to reach, so I just want to secure the base of the zipper. Now using a zipper foot for my machine, I'm going to top stitch along the zipper. For a nice polished look, I'm just going to hand sew any areas that the sewing machine didn't sew down, and that's about it. And a couple days later, I finished the custom vest, and this is the final look. So today I'm going to be wrapping up this vlog with a new sewing table and a very creaky chair, so I apologize for that in advance. But my last piece I'll work on is taking in the sides of the skirt, and it was already pre-measured out when my friend dropped them off to me. So I'm gonna start by taking the waistband off using my seam ripper in the back here, because there are 2 darts on the back panel, and that's where I'm going to be taking off the extra fabric from. I pinned them on the side seam, but because there's an invisible zipper, I don't really want to mess with that. It's already perfectly lined up, and if I try to take off the excess fabric on the sides, that's just going to be so much more work. So I'm going to seam rip along right here all the way to the end of the waistband, and I'm going to take in these darts and then shorten the waistband. I've detached the waistband from the skirt, and I'm gonna open up the lining and the outer lining stitch right here, so that way I can make the adjustment to the existing dart. Now I'm going to pin the adjustment to the dart down on both sides. Once all your pins are in place and you like the placement of the darts, it is time to sew. The original construction of the skirt had a baste stitch connecting the outer fabric to the inner fabric, so I'm just going to add that detail back in. Now it's time to take in the waistband. I'm going to begin by pinning down the waistband from the invisible zipper seam all the way to the opposite side seam, and that's where I'm going to be removing the additional fabric. Now that I can collect all the additional fabric to that side seam, I'm just going to mess around with it and find the perfect amount of waistband to take off, and I'm just gonna continue to go back and forth, just double checking that the waistband's gonna fit perfectly with the new adjustment. Now it's time to pin in place, and then we can sew that new seam line and cut off the excess. Final step is to pin the waistband to the skirt and carefully top stitch along to give it a nice finish. That is it for my alterations vlog. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, remember to like this video and subscribe for more. Bye!